So, hello everyone, hope you're doing well, hope you're looking after yourselves. We know it's been a while since our last Society Spotlight, but we're back with another episode where we talk about the societies that you can join at Brunel University. As you surely know, there are a wide range of different societies that you can take part in. I should know, I hosted the Societies Ball this year, you know, little plug. But yeah, it's always great to learn about the different societies at Brunel that you can get involved in. So, yeah, like I mentioned, we've got another society. As I always say, I don't like to do introductions because I don't do them well. So instead, I'm going to hand over to our guest speaker for today. So yeah, could you let us know a bit more about you and your society?
Well, my name is Amith and I'm doing my master's in law from Brunel University. And I'm from India, so I'm an international student here. And recently I finished my master's in law. And right now I work as a paralegal in a law firm. So, you know, they deal with different matters like immigration, asylum, things like that. It's a new learning for me.
Okay.
Because doing my bachelor's in home country and coming to do master's, I learned a lot from my lectures, and that gave me a new outlook towards, what society's Brunel has. So, when I came in here by belief, I'm a Christian. So when I came in here, I was like literally trying to see like if I fit in anywhere like the Christian, they have different societies. Then I went in deep like to know whether they have a Catholic committee or not, because I'm a Catholic by birth. So what happened to one of my friends took me to the society. I was being introduced and they told me what they do. But there arises a point like I was thinking like it can be more better. So I entered into I talked to the chaplain over there. I shared my ideas, like it can be much better if we do in this way. So after a couple of meetings, she was like, why don't you become a chairman for the next year?
Okay.
Because your plans are a little interesting. So I said, I'm not sure about chairman, because let me start with something where I can become a secretary or something like that. But she was like, no, you can do it. So after the last year elections, I became the chair of the Brunel Catholic Society. So we got a team of people like secretary, the treasurer. So what we decided was like the main idea of Brunel Catholic Society is to, give the right faith to the students. Because even though I come from a country where it's other part of Asia, India, so people come with different beliefs. Maybe they might not be that conservative as their parents are. But when we come to a different country, you need to still be in your own ideology. Like people talk about, for example, like I'm a Christian, but I do not believe in Mother Mary. But that's the part about the Catholics, because we believe, for example, I wear a rosary every time. For my faith, I believe if I don't wear one, I'm really scared to sleep at night. So some people say that it's crazy. That's because you're mentally some retarded guy. But I don't think so, because it's my faith. So what my idea was to talk to students, what kind of problems they face in their everyday life. Maybe with dissertation, some mental sickness. They have so many issues when they move to a country. Homesickness is one of the factors. So I spoke to different students and I started a little bit of counseling to them, like, you can be much better, because we run Catholic masses. Priests from different churches come into the university and they conduct masses. So we went through that. That was one of my plan, to have masses in a month, at least one. So that was one of the important factors. The second thing I talked was about pilgrimages or retreat. What I believe is that retreat is very, very important for a student life, because this is something, we have problems in our life. It will be personal, professional, your dissertation, your friendship. But retreat is something where you just not going to talk to God. It's not only that. It's about you taking all your pressure down. And you talk to the priest over there. This is my problems and I'm here. That's what one of my friend, he was sending me a picture from California. It says like, all your questions will be answered here, which Google cannot, and that's a church. So just telling that the idea is like, you put your pressure down, you talk to so many people. So that was one of the stuff I added to the society. We need to have a retreat every year. And the second thing, what I believe, was in counseling, because we got a chaplain over there and she's well versed in all the prayer services. We gather together, we praise and we worship. And the important factor, what we do here is it's not only open to Catholics, and that's the catch here. We are widely entertaining all the people, it's whether it is Christian, Buddhist, Hindu, Muslims, and that's what we did last year with the help of my secretary and the treasurer. Last year, what we did an interfaith meeting. And that was with the Muslim community. It went really well because we got the parish priest coming from Oxbridge, and he got the right person from London. And we had they were talking about what the Bible talks about, some part where Islam is connected. So these are some of the other factors which we were trying to see, and that really worked out. So this year, again, I've been re-elected as a president for the Brunel Catholic Society. So that's how our work is going on right now.
Perfect. And yeah, I think like you mentioned, if you're a Brunel student watching, that there are, we've mentioned it sort of, I think, in everything. There's always a society, there's always something that you can join that's connected to you and who you are. And also, like what you were saying there, Amith, there's not any exclusion, or at least, from my experience, right. I've never found exclusion from any of the societies that Brunel has to have, whether it's to do with a cultural society, a faith society, whether it's an academic society. Every society is very welcome to have students to come, to learn about cultures, to learn about faith. And I think, to end this sort of question, I think, like you mentioned, there is a lot of harmony, I guess, is the best way to describe it, between the sort of different different groups on campus.
Yeah.
No one's sort of, there's no, like you said, the interfaith meeting.
That's right. That's right.
I think is really key to sort of emphasize to anyone watching, is that there is always that opportunity to sort of learn from each other, which is right. ultimately very important. Yes. But yeah, we're going to go on to the next question, because you sort of answered which society that you're from, you sort of touched on it a bit there. If you want to go into more detail, you can. If you want to go into another question, we can do that.
Yeah.
But it was essentially, why did you decide personally? I know you mentioned it there, but why did you decide that? Why did you decide to join the sort of committee then? Because you didn't do your undergraduate at Brunel, did you?
No, that's what I said. I did my graduation from India.
No, perfect.
Yeah, so I did my bachelor's in law over there. Then that was my transition period, because I thought like I need to do law from a different country. And then I applied for some jobs because I was working for some American lawyers from India.
Okay.
And then they said, like, if you want to come here or pursue your career, we don't value your master, your law degree. But when I applied for Brunel, I got a very good response. And when I reached here, what my expectations, it was more than that. Because here there is no room for racism also, because I met to be I don't know whether I can talk about this. I met Boris Johnson 3 months back. And I shared the ideas, and he asked me only one question: how do you feel about Brunel? When I told him I'm an international student, do you find any room for racism? I said no, because that's how Brunel is giving, talking to the students. Any problem, we have mental health department, we have the welfare department, we have the student support. But when I came, I realized that this society can move forward and can do much, much good things to students and support them, like in the way of spirituality. Because, as a Christian, however the denominations you are, doesn't matter, but the word of God will not change. From my personal experience, my wife, before I marrying her, she was a Protestant. So we were in love for 3 years, but the only condition I told her, like, if you wish, you can change to Catholic, but it's up to you. But we all are Christians, we worship Jesus Christ. But she said, yeah, I'm ready to do that. Because she believes in Mother Mary, she believes in saints. But that's what I'm trying to tell here also, the students. I tell from my personal experience, it's up to you. You keep your faith within you. If you are a Hindu, I respect your religion. You respect my religion, and we can share. So it doesn't mean that if you are from a different community, if you have a different ethnical background, doesn't have a room for that. We all are one. And when you get the right amount of support from the university, and now this is a social media where you are giving me a room to make people understand, or the students who are coming next year, they can come into society without any kind of tensions. They can come, yes, I'm from this country and I do not belong to this community. never matter, you're much welcome. So when I joined here, I told like there are some changes I want to make to the society if you're okay. So they said like directly they gave me the role of president. And then I attended the meeting with Jazz. She was telling me like, how a president should work. Initially, it was like a little tough time for me because doing my master's and the dissertation, things like that. I thought, will I perform the role much better? No. But that's what a personal thing is like. I used to go to church. I used to pray to the students who come in like, can I be a good person? Can I give them the right advice? But I think it all worked because we used to meet on a weekly basis. On every Thursdays, we meet every Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. We'll have a chat. Sometimes we have pizza parties. We go to the Newman House, that's a Catholic center in London. And sometimes we go for pilgrimage, and as I told you, a retreat and a year wise. So these are the things we carry out on our society. So, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Mental health is really important to us at Pick Up the Mic, and we love to share resources that can support your mental health. And that's why we are so glad to have today's sponsor. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 30,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get you started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you can talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live appointments when it's convenient for you. If your therapist isn't right for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom-picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at an affordable price. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/pickupthemic. I've also linked them down below in the description. So again, that's betterhelp.com/pickupthemic, MIC, and start your journey today. And yeah, I think it's important to note, like what you were saying about the diversity community at Brunel. There are campaigns like the One Brunel campaign that runs every year through the student union that promotes the diversity of Brunel students. There's I think especially because of the way things have gone over the last sort of 3 years, to not sort of dive into details with that, but things that Brunel have done, so whether it's, like you're saying with cultural backgrounds, whether Brunel's having a anti-racism officer who actively works to, ensure that, collaboration and promoting diversity within the university is done in an authentic and in a correct way. Because I know, we could even probably do a whole episode on that. But I know that there are sometimes times when, you're working with an organisation and sometimes it can come across as just like a media piece. It's sort of like just done to appease the masses, but it's not actually being there. But what you'll find is kind of like what Amith was saying, is that, whether you're a current student, whether you're a student coming into Brunel, there's always people who are interested in you and your background, your story, and that might not necessarily happen immediately. That might not necessarily happen, if you're a new student, might not necessarily happen when you come in. As a student who's already at Brunel, might not happen in your first or third year, but you'll sort of find your community and like the people that I guess you really cherish to have with you, will come over time. And it's the same with me. When I started Brunel, a lot of the people that I ended up being friends with and sort of, still really good friends with, some of them I even, host a podcast with. I didn't know them at all in my first year. I literally met them while I was on placement. But yeah, I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't change anything for it. They're really great people. So yeah, that's another reason. Why we also do this. Having different podcasts, interviewing different people, from all walks of life, from all different ages, is because not only specifically just to Brunel or making it about London, but everyone has their unique story. And, loads of people say it about whether it's to do with emotional racism things, whether it's to do with your faith, whether it's to do with career development, that you are on your own path. You are on a unique path that no one else has been through before. People might have experienced some of the stuff that you've gone through before, but no one's been through every sort of situation that you've been through because, you're unique. You're you. And I think it's really important to remember that, is that when it comes to sort of things like whether it's to do with your faith, whether it's to do with university, you should celebrate you. You should be proud of who you are and, where you've sort of come to in life. Because, even like you were saying, whether it's you're an international student and you've come to and stayed over at the UK and, you've never been away from home and this is your first time away from home. Right. Whether you're even a home student and, you've lived, this is your first time living away from home. That's such a big achievement. And while, there might be times when it's tough, it's hard, unfortunately that's life. You'll find that you'll learn so much about who you are, what you can handle, what friendship means to you, what sort of, perseverance means to you, and things like that. There's so many powerful messages that you can learn at university. I'm not to say, if you don't go to university, you can't learn those lessons. I'd say you probably learn them quicker if you don't go to university. But there's so many things that you can learn, and that's why we always say to maximize your university experience. There's so much. Not even just, if you're not a Brunel student and you're watching, there's so many things as a young person at a university, or not even just a young person, but as a person at university, that you get access to. We were literally recording an episode yesterday where we were talking about there's so many resources, like Amith was saying about, whether it's to do with mental health, whether it's to do with career development, whether it's to do with welfare, entrepreneurship and business, networking, that outside of university, you're paying, and you're not paying a lot of cheap money to use these services. But university gives you that space to make the most out of the experience. And I think as well, it's key to say that I think a lot of the time when people hear that, they think, oh, that only applies to a student. That's why I even asked you, about you being a master's student, because a lot of students feel that they can't, if they're a master's student, they're only here for maybe a year, maybe 2 years. Right. So they can't actually do anything. But clearly from what you've said, clearly from, there are people that, hopefully they'll be on the podcast, but they've been a master's student and they've done so much in their 1 year at Brunel. They've developed, they've networked, they've spoken to people. And like what you said, it's never easy. It's never, going to be a walk in the park. Right. It will be tough, but it's always about sort of like just pushing yourself there, because kind of like what I said before, this is like one experience that you don't have any pressures on you, but typically, as most students, I'm not married, you are, and I know, but a lot of students don't have the pressures of looking after a family, living in their own sort of, yes, you might live on accommodation, but you won't necessarily be living in a house that you own, or you're renting yourself. You still have support from your family, you can still sort of live at home, but being at university is the one sort of time period in your life where you can try new things, you can learn, new skills, you can sort of figure out what you even want to get out of your career. Whereas those things are a lot harder and definitely not free or cheap outside of university. So definitely do make sure that we've done loads of episodes. We've even got I'll make sure it pops up on YouTube, but we've got like a list of all the episodes we've talked about university in some way, shape or form. Right. So please do make sure you check that out, because I've always said it, there's so many resources at universities that students don't realise until they graduate. So it's always important to make the most of them. Right. We're going to go on to the next question, which is, you sort of mentioned it already, some of the activities the Catholic Society does. As we're recording, the academic year is coming to a close. So let's look to 2023 to 2024. What are some of the activities that you've got planned for the next academic year?
The first thing I was like, just now I had a meeting with my chaplain before this recording. So I spoke to her about the first thing we need to do about is the calendaring for next year. So what are our activities going to be? As I told, we meet on every Thursdays 5:30 p.m. So what are we going to plan for the month of September, then October, but December is a Christmas break. So we thought of planning it with celebrating a mass. So we're going to invite the priest from the church and then start off with, giving some ideas to the new students. As I rightly said again, like, any faith, we all welcome all the faith. So we're going to talk about them, like, these are the services we do. And these, like, we have some time for fun activities. We have pizza parties, we go outing, we go and help, disabled people. That's what one of our agendas. So we just spoke about this. There's a school near to the Brunel University where they need our service in helping the disabled students. So that's what we were talking about and decided monthly once we visit them, and however it's maybe admin, it may be something you give them food, you're gonna make them to learn a new skill, because in this era, you need to upskill yourself, because it's very, very important. And whatever help you can do to them, it will be greatly appreciated. So that's one of our plan. And then we thought, like a Christmas time, we are planning to do a retreat. So that's the plan. As if of the Christmas break, we decided to start off with. So that was the first thing we did about the calendaring part. And second thing, what we are trying to do is about again the interfaith. So last year we just had one meeting, and that was with the Muslim community. And this year we are just planning to have it with the Hindu Society in Brunel University. That is one of the biggest one. And as well as we are in talks with the Indian Society and the Pakistani Society to know whether they are able to meet us and talk about it. And as I told earlier, like, we are taking some verses from Quran as well as from Bible and try to see where is that kind of difference comes from, or why we think about a different outlook. So we invite speakers from outside. For example, we invite priests from the church, and the Muslim community or the Hindu Society, they invite their own persons to come and talk about it, who have vast knowledge about it. So that's the plan which we are trying to adopt as a new plan for this academic year.
Perfect. Oh, thank you. And keep an eye out for that, because they'll be posting about it soon. We've come to the last question, which is basically just why should students join your society?
The first thing I will say is, like, because coming from the background of an Asian country, traveling around 13 hours all the way, I feel so much of homesickness. And that's I'm talking about a master's student. Think about a student who is just taking a graduation. He's going to be here for 3 years, and he might be just very young, and he doesn't have the right direction to go. Because I have seen people coming here, getting into different companies, and they end up in some problems. I personally know some students over here who end up in really, really big issues. So what we can do as a society, what I believe is, like, give them the best counseling, where you can go, what you can do, whom to take the support. Like, as I told earlier, if he is having some issue with the mental issues, he can contact university. That's a welfare team. And the good part about Brunel University, I believe, I was a person who got this help when I got scammed in my account. The university helped me with the funding. So this is one of the very good part about the university, because they understand the students. So these are things which students will not be knowing about. So if such person is having an issue with some monetary issues, some mitigating circumstance happen, I can tell them. So these are the activities the students union does. So that is something which I can tell about them. And second thing is, keep your faith in first place, because the parents, thousands and miles back, they think my child, my daughter or my son, whatever belief or faith I put in her or him, he is doing that. Maybe he's not. I'm not saying every day he's going to church or every Sunday going to church, but when you have, my ideology is very simple. When I become the president of the chair of Catholic Society, my idea was just one thing, like, we have time for everything, Jeffrey. We have time for everything in our life. I have time for my family, my friends. Don't you have a day or an hour for God? That's a question. So you've got 7 days in a week, you work, you do anything. but you should give at least 1 hour to God. That's what I'm saying. So that's what we decided. Like, one of our plan is weekly once we will have a prayer session. It's not just you just roaming, going for retreat. You go here, you go there. Yes, that's a part of it. But at the same time, you should spiritually grow. And that's what we are trying to get into the new students. Whoever wants to join the society, they want to grow spiritually. That's the idea about it, behind that. So working towards the betterment of that, that's one of our motive behind that. Yeah.
Perfect. Oh, thank you. And yeah, we've now come to the end of the episode. Thank you very much, Amith, for coming on to the podcast. One final question, one final thing is, if there's anyone sort of watching, what are the best ways for them to get in touch with the Catholic Society? Is there an Instagram page?
Oh yes, we you can contact us to the Instagram page. It's the Brunel Catholic Society, and we are in Facebook. Also, it runs again Brunel Catholic Society, and we are available always on Meeting House and Brunel University campus. Thursdays, we meet on every Thursdays 5:30 to 6:30. All are welcome, any faith, anything, doesn't matter.
Perfect. Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And yeah, thank you to our wonderful audience for coming back to another episode. If you like this episode, a like, comment, and subscribe is always appreciated. If you're interested in knowing when the next episode of whether it's the Society Spotlight or any of our other podcasts come out, make sure you click the notification bell, which is at the bottom of the video. And finally, if you're interested in receiving some perks, maybe learning a bit more about how you can support Pick Up the Mic, please do check out our Patreon page. The link is in the description. But yeah, that's the end of this time on the Spotlight with the Society. Come back next time when we join the new society, and we'll be able to spotlight them and the work that they do.